That's what you're talking about?
Everybody believes in him a little bit. Even guys like you who pretend they don't.
Sadistic Penguin Studios presents Yumper and Svo at the Show podcast with Tom Yumper Garcia.
Have you paid your dues, Jack? Yes, sir. The check is in the mail.
And Justin Svo Svoboda.
What, so I gotta sit here and eat dessert alone like I'm fucking Steven Glansberg?
It's almost time, so grab a drink. Get your popcorn ready and get comfortable to hear two guys from Chicago talking movies.
Welcome everyone to another episode of Yumper and Svo at the Show, presented to you by the Sadistic Penguin Studios. I'm one of your co-hosts, Tom Garcia, aka Yumper, and I'm with my other co-host, Justin Svo Svoboda. How you doing, Mr. Svoboda?
I'm good, Yump. How are you, buddy? I'm ready to talk about this guy tonight.
I am as well, but the comments are cracking me up. Especially this one made me break out of character and laugh. I danced naked to that intro music. Thank you, Sam Reeves.
Would you fuck me? I'd fuck me.
Now I just imagine Sam Reeves in a little suit.
Buffalo Bill outfit.
Oh, this show that's already getting off rails. But let's get into what we've been watching. So what you been watching this week?
So I went to the theater a couple times. One to see the new Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse movie with my nephews. Fantastic. I don't know if you've seen it yet, Yump. It's awesome. I think Vin will love it. Like, the animation is fantastic. It's a Spider-Man movie. It's good. And then I went with Nam to go see The Boogeyman, which is a new Stephen King movie. And surprisingly, like, I enjoyed it. The reviews weren't that great, but who cares about the reviews, man? Like, I had a good time. It was scary. It had some really good jump scares. I enjoyed it. What about you?
So I haven't seen Spider-Man yet. I am going to take Vin sometime soon to see it. The Boogeyman, my brother actually saw, and my brother's like a huge Stephen King, big mega fan, and he told me he didn't like it too much. I have to see it to see how bad it is, but he said that he didn't like it as much as he did the other ones. But I mean, King has put out so many hits, so you really can't blame him for having some mediocre ones.
I think what the movie lacked was like star power.
Probably. Yeah. Talking about star power. I took the plunge and watched Fast X. It's available on Amazon Prime.
It definitely is.
And my God, this movie is it's out there, man. It's bad, but it's not horrible.
No, but it's like good bad.
Yeah.
It's bad. It's bad, but like it was like a fun, entertaining watch for 90 minutes.
Yes, Jason Momoa steals the show. He's
agreed,
the
completely.
best part of that movie by far. I just couldn't get over Ludacris and Tyrese acting thuggish when
I think
they're not.
I think the cool part about it is that their roles were really, really minimal in this one.
Yeah, it was mostly focused on Dom and Vin Diesel.
Family
is and this character can't act. John Cena actually played a really good role.
He's a good uncle, man. He's a good uncle.
Definitely coming into his own in terms of acting, so that's kind of cool. Wait, Brian, did you say something about Diners Drive-In? Oh my God, they're doing drafts in they're doing podcast drafts in our comments,
and that's okay. Like, I'm down with the podcast drafts. The only thing is, and I'm just gonna address this once. There is no reason for French silk pie to be at a barbecue. I'm just going to say it right now. I know that was a conversation yesterday on Twitter. Like, key lime pie is an absolute elite barbecue dessert.
I've never had key lime pie at a dessert. I'm not going to lie. Half those things that were on that barbecue, I've never had them. Breaded mushrooms, never had them at a barbecue.
How do you feel about arrachera?
Arrachera, I love it. It was taken twice. To be honest with you, Jason did the typical Mexican barbecue. The only thing he was missing instead of potato salad was rice. But my mom does have potato salad whenever we have a Mexican barbecue, so I guess it kind of goes with it.
I'm I don't know. That draft was so deep. Like, if Alexis would have had a better appetizer, she would have. She already won the whole thing. She won the whole thing. People voted for her, but she would have had all of my votes if she would have had a better appetizer.
Yeah, elote.
Sorry.
Pasta
No, not
salad?
the elote pasta salad. That sounds amazing. It's the
That was
ceviche.
after.
It was the
Oh, ceviche is very
ceviche.
good.
Yeah. No, I know it is. It's good. I just don't think barbecue when I hear it.
We had it at ours, but anyway.
Well,
Yeah. But I digress. I just think it's funny that Dougie tried to out Mexican HBIC, which he almost did.
There's too many White Sox Twitter podcasts as it is, right? We are talking about them all here tonight.
Yes. Another movie I watched was a classic that I get to watch like whenever I'm doing like studying or just something to have on in the background, but I still can't get over how great a movie is A Few Good Men. Tom Cruise, I think, plays a phenomenal role as a lawyer in this movie. This and The Firm, I think, are his two best movies that are non-action, in my opinion.
Okay.
Uh,
Cocktail.
Jack Nicholson is awesome in it, and Demi Moore, she was smoking back then. But it was rated based off a play. Me and my brother quote this movie all the time. Just the whole dialogue between Nicholson and Cruise in the courtroom is great.
I mean, it was peak Nicholson.
Yes, it was at when, and that's also when Cruise was like really breaking out to be a superstar. It's a good movie. Definitely watch this like all the time.
I love it. I think and going back to the Fast and the Furious movie, it was very, very over the top, but it was enjoyable. It didn't feel like a Fast and the Furious movie, but I would probably give this a whirl.
The thing too, I want to go the Fast and the Furious. There's a part where he drives down a dam, and I was thinking when he was driving down the dam, I'm like, is this like physically, physics? Is this possible? And I highly doubt it is. Like, you'd fucking flip over. But it's a movie. I understand.
Well, and I love the like how you said it really, really well. Like Jason Momoa steals this movie, and he's so over the top.
We have a what's your least favorite Fast and the Furious movie? For me, it's part 2, and I saw like people make comments about it. It's like a love story.
It
between an ex, and the ex finds it like.
But it also has Cole Hauser in it.
Yes, but it's still not a good movie.
I'm gonna go the spinoff Hobbs and Shaw.
Never seen it. So I don't know.
Like that's my worst Fast and Furious movie. Yes, we didn't recognize Aaron Sorkin, because this will just turn into a West Wing love fest. But yeah.
Yes, Aaron Sorkin is awesome. But with that, we're gonna go into a deep dive into some M. Night Shyamalan movies. M. Night Shyamalan is probably one of the most polarizing directors that I can think of to date. And the crazy thing is, all his movies have pretty much made money or broke even. I think his first movie, which was called Wide Awake, did not make anything. We're not going to review that. But every other movie preceding that has made money. He's made over $3 billion box office with a budget around $723 million of all his movies. So he's very profitable. Now, are his movies good? Well, you're going to find out. You ready to get into this, Will?
Let's do it, man.
So we're going to do this a little bit differently. Usually we just go through a list of movies in a row, going from probably his earliest to his newest. We're going to go in categories of, were they good? Were they so-so? Or were they shitty? But before that, we have to...
Let's get this over with.
Get these ones over with. And the first one we're going to talk about is The Last Airbender, released in 2010, directed and written by M. Night Shyamalan, starring Noah Ringer, Nicola Peltz Beckman, Dave Patel, and Jackson Rathbone. This movie had a budget of $150 million, but it was bumped up to $280 with advertising and a box office of $319. Swole, tell me what you think about this movie.
This movie was a piece of shit. I know that the Naruto, the Last Airbender, the Avatar is beloved, right? And this movie just absolutely butt fucked it, right? Like, it is a terrible movie. This is not good. This was in my peak, like sneaking into a movie after I already saw a movie stage. So I was at AMC River East and I snuck into this after I saw, I want to say The Town. I don't remember off the top of my head, but I just went from The Town to this. And I was like, why did I waste my time? This is a terrible, terrible movie. Like,
first of all, the main thing that drew me away from this movie is supposed to be in Pan-Asian characters, ethnicity, and they cast a lot of white people. And this is like in 2010. So it's kind of weird for me to see that. Secondly, I'm not a big fan of Last Airbender. I do like anime and manga. Dragon Ball Z, like every kid I know at my age grew up watching that. I watched a little bit of Last Airbender. I couldn't get into it. This movie was just way out there for me to get really fully invested. The acting was horrible. The CGI looked like shit. It just was a bad movie to me. I couldn't get it. Like, it was just, I tried again to watch this. I couldn't even get through it again.
I feel like these movies were made purely because he has an agreement with the studio, like a contractual obligation. This is not what he does or what he likes to do. He likes telling like spooky stories, creepy shit. And this is out of his wheelhouse, and it shows because it's not good. Neither is the other one.
And the crazy thing is, this was supposed to be a 3-movie deal.
Yeah,
with him, and they took it away because it wasn't that great. It got a 5% on Rotten Tomatoes, which is probably the lowest Nickelodeon. This was made at Nickelodeon company.
Yep.
The lowest based Nickelodeon company movie ever. Which, I mean, there's some pretty shitty ones there too, but
except there is Good Burger, which is iconic.
It's an iconic movie. But this one is just really bad. And to go with the second movie, After Earth, released in 2013, he directed this one. This one was produced by Will and Jada Pinkett Smith, starring Will Smith and Jaden Smith. This movie had a budget of $130 million and a box office of $243. So this movie's a big steaming pile of shit. And you know what? I doing research for this, I was going to blame this movie on M. Night Shyamalan. And it turns out he just took the blame for it because this movie was ran by the great Will Smith.
You love Will Smith.
No, I fucking hate Will Smith.
Will Smith don't have to cuss in his raps to sell records. Well, I do. So fuck him and fuck you too.
I am not a good fan of Will. I'm not a big fan of Will Smith. I think he's an okay actor. I think he gets praised more than he's more of those actors that when Independence Day came out and Men in Black, he was great, but like it's sort of seriousness, I just can't take him serious. He's okay. He's not on the levels of DiCaprio.
What was that other piece of shit that he made? Like, where he was like cloned and he was like fighting himself. Remember it came out last summer?
I know what you're talking about, but it didn't even get good reviews. And the fact that, you know, the shows what kind of person that M. Night Shyamalan is to even take the blame for this, it just shows he's a good dude because this is all Will Smith and his wife doing this. He personally coached Jaden for this role. The CGI in this movie is stupid. The fucking story is stupid. Like, the aliens only can cause fear, and only people who aren't scared are...
Like, it's Battlefield Earth bad.
Yeah, but like the whole fact that, okay, so if you don't have fear, are you a sociopath? Like, so does that mean his dad's a sociopath? Like, that's what, like, but he's supposed to be a good guy.
Right.
It's just, to me, it's just stupid. I watched this movie one time. I tried watching it for this week, and I'm like, fuck this. I can't get through this.
You want to hear the kicker?
What?
I snuck in the theater to see this too with Kelly, like while we were dating. We went to go see Now You See Me, that magician movie, the magician heist movie, which I don't know how it didn't get a mention on our heist movies. But we snuck in to see this afterwards, and even Kelly and I were like, did we just watch that? It's terrible.
It's really bad. And this is like when Jaden Smith, you know, was coming up and coming. Now he hasn't really done anything, but this is after Pursuit of Happiness. You know, he's up and coming as an actor. The Karate Kid, which they're making a sequel to. Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
Just stop. But it's just bad. I Am Legend is a very good movie, Alexis. It's as well, you know, I do like The Wild Wild West. It's a horrible movie.
I love it.
But it has Salma Hayek in it, so she cuts it off. And it also has like an obsession with spiders.
Yes, thank you, Sam. And that spiders comes to full fruition tonight, Yump.
Yes. Yes.
Full fruition.
But these are the ones we had to get out of the way, definitely. They're just so brutal.
These movies were called I Needed a Paycheck.
Yes. So with that, we're going to go into our average movies.
And look at you. You're average at best.
Don't look at me! You're off the line! I don't want to be seen! Care is dead, isn't she? Whoever did this killed her, didn't they?
Kara died.
She was next.
2021's Old, directed by M. Night Shyamalan, starring Gael Garcia Bernal, Vicky Krieps, and Rufus Swell. This movie had a budget of $18 million and a box office of $90 million. Swell, tell me about Old.
So I just watched Old yesterday, and the premise for this movie is really, really good. What it lacks is star power. Yes, you have to see Young to understand it. It's a direct prequel. Like the premise of this movie is really, really good, but it lacks anybody that I give a shit about. Like the thought, like they go on this vacation that they find on the internet. It's still relatively new, so I don't want to give a lot away so people can watch it. It has that M. Night like twist on there. It just lacked someone that you cared about.
So I think it does have some star power in it. Like Gael Garcia Bernal is more known internationally because of Y Tu Mama Tambien was like his first breakout role.
Sure.
And then he did the Motorcycle Diaries, which is like a retelling of Che Guevara's.
Che Guevara, but like,
yeah. But this, to me, this script, and by now, this is 2021, so we know that Shyamalan is known for twists. Like, I don't think the twist and turns of it really made enough sense. Spoiler alert, the island causes people to turn old. They never really explain why. That's the phenomenon. They never explain why that happens. They just explain, there's a twist to go along with that. I didn't really like this movie. It was okay. It wasn't the worst one.
Yeah,
it wasn't,
it's definitely not the worst of what he's done.
It was Matt.
Yeah, go ahead. I'm sorry, buddy.
No, go ahead.
Like it was just, I don't know. It was just kind of there. I didn't hate it, and I didn't like. But Fast X made sense.
Fast X was about family, though.
It was about family.
I read that family is said 63 times in that movie.
Family.
Oh my god. We should do a Fast and the Furious recap and have Roper come back on because I know he loves those movies.
He does love them. I don't know if he would. He'd be like, no, absolutely not, guys. No, I don't have time for that bullshit.
But this movie's mediocre. It wasn't bad. It wasn't great. It's kind of meh. So it wasn't something I would pay for, but if it was on, I would watch it.
And I think I watched it on Peacock.
Yeah. So you can watch it on Peacock if you have it. It's not that bad. But let's go into our next average movie.
The worst thing about the visions was the screaming. I could hear everyone screaming. And I knew when the visions ended, the screaming was just going to go on and on.
2023's Knock at the Cabin, directed by M. Night Shyamalan, starring Dave Bautista, Jonathan Groff, Rupert Grint, and Ben Aldridge. This movie had a box office of $54 million on a budget of $20 million. So this movie is based off an adaptation of a horror book released in 2018 by Paul Tremblay. I thought this movie it wasn't great. It wasn't bad. It was decent. I wouldn't put somewhere as good. I'm a big fan of Dave Bautista. I think Dave Bautista is coming into his own. The fact this had Ron Weasley in it.
And he plays a scumbag.
Yeah, he plays a complete piece of shit.
Yeah.
Like, just show the different side of him. There was good parts of the movie. The story was a little corny, but it was very, very gory in terms of like what they do to each other.
Absolutely. I thought it was okay. Like, it wasn't anything special. I wish there was a little bit more explanation of why these people were chosen.
It didn't really go into that. They said they were having visions. I don't want to spoil this one because this one's a little newer.
Yeah,
this year. But if you want to see something like just sit down and watch something to basically just entertain yourself, this is a good, decent movie to watch.
And I agree with you about Bautista. I think like he's fantastic. He's really, really like grown since the first time we saw him in like the first Guardians. Like, dude is good at what he does, and he's getting better.
Yes, even his part in the new Blade Runner, the sequel, like was when his next like little part he had was very, very well done. He's coming into his own as an actor, and I think but this movie kind of shows his range. Hopefully, he does something like even deeper, which I'm looking forward to.
Yeah,
but yeah, Knock at the Cabin. It's average movie, pretty decent to watch. So if you haven't checked that one out, but let's go into our next one.
They are losing faith. My horde is losing faith.
In comics, you would go to a public place where all could see. A place celebrating man's pedestrian achievements. But you need David to convince them. You should fight him.
2019's Glass. This is directed and written by M. Night Shyamalan, starring James McAvoy, Bruce Willis, Samuel L. Jackson, Anya Taylor-Joy, and Sarah Paulson. This movie had a budget of $20 million and made $247 million at the box office. So, Swell, tell me about Glass.
So once again, like this fits in to the completely average. I don't hate this movie. I don't love it, but I don't understand why he wanted to revisit this. I guess it's a trilogy, like so many years down the road, right? It just doesn't make sense to me, and it feels very, very like rushed and put together. Like this didn't feel like a thought out trilogy. Like it just feels like, oh, we're gonna throw that twist in at the end of Split, and then this happens.
So I was conflicted, like when we did a list. Like I think this movie deserves to be a little bit more in good than an average, and the reason being is because of James McAvoy. James McAvoy, through the Split and the Glass series, he steals the show. I think
Split, Split essentially.
He's phenomenal in both of them, and just shows his range as an actor to play multiple personalities. And from what I was reading, Samuel L. Jackson said he can play up to 14, 15 of them by himself, like just like on snap of a finger, and he goes into it, which impressed Samuel L. Jackson, who's been worked with a very, very like legendary list of actors. So you're saying like you don't know why they basically proceed to build on Split? Well, reading this, Shyamalan actually wants to introduce James McAvoy's character after Unbreakable, well, actually within Unbreakable, and didn't have a chance to do it. So that's why he kind of ended up introducing him in Split and then having this as a closing story to it. The only bad thing about this movie is I don't really like Sarah Paulson's character. I thought she was very dull. And what happens to the characters? Namely, Bruce Willis's character, I thought was pretty stupid. But besides that, I think it was a pretty decent movie. Like I would even say it was a good movie.
Okay. So this is the first one where we don't totally like agree on it, but we're also not like,
yeah, it could go either way. It could go either way on this one. Like I'm not going to, this is a hill I won't die on.
Okay.
But it's, it's just crazy. Like I said, James McAvoy, his addition to this franchise is
and he saved. We talked about this a couple weeks ago. Like I don't want to say saved, but like he was a massive part of the X-Men, like the last X-Men trilogy, and like some of the best parts of it.
Yeah, and this movie was considered a grounded comic book movie by M. Night Shyamalan himself. So this is what he considers a grounded comic book movie, whatever the hell that means. But
yeah,
it was, to me, it was a pretty decent, if not good movie. Yes, he was great in Chapter 2. I'm more a fan of the original, but I do like him as Bill. I think he does a very, very good job. I like everything James McAvoy's in. I think he's a very good actor.
I need to revisit it, Chapter 2, because like I saw it in the theater after we just got off like a 5 a.m. flight to Minneapolis for like a White Sox game.
Mm-hmm.
And I just remember being miserable in it.
Yeah. I'm sorry, Brian kind of threw me off that comment.
I know Brian's doing that tonight.
But those are our average movies. Let's go into those shitty ones.
That is one big pile of shit.
A dog inside the building. Go! Shoot! Well, you're not a dog at all. My God. This is like a moment from a horror movie.
2006's Lady in the Water. This is directed and written by M. Night Shyamalan, starring Paul Giamatti, Bryce Dallas Howard, Bob Balaban, and Freddie Rodriguez. This movie had a budget of $70 million and made a box office of $72.8 million. So if you didn't listen to that clip, you wouldn't have heard how shitty this movie is. That's the dialogue in this movie. It was basically a kid's story that M. Night Shyamalan made. I did not like this movie. I thought it was a complete waste of characters like Bryce Dallas Howard and Paul Giamatti, especially when Giamatti was coming off Sideways. This is his first big time paycheck. To me, it's a shitty movie, even though this movie was written for him. Oh my God, it's just so bad. And they want to Kevin Costner to play the role too.
She's a fucking water nymph.
Yeah,
she's a water nymph hunted by a wolf.
It was just horrible.
And she lives in an apartment complex pool. Like,
no, it wasn't Bob Backlund, Brian.
This is a terrible movie.
Yeah, it's a very terrible movie. And the reason the budget was so high, because if you look at it, it doesn't really have that many big CGI because he doesn't like, first of all, M. Night Shyamalan does not like CGI really that much. The reason the cost was so big for the budget was because they had to build the whole damn apartment building from scratch. The dialogue in this is horrible. I understand what he was going for. It's just something that, like, this is another movie where I tried to watch it again and I could not get through it.
No, some of these I couldn't get through. And like when you say polarizing, like you're not wrong. Like I love some of his really, really good movies. Like I love them. But man, these next three are giant fucking ass cheeks, man.
Yeah, this one is really bad. And like I said, again, he had Paul Giamatti and Bryce Dallas Howard in this movie.
Right, like two people that can really act and know how to run with good source material.
And you couldn't like make something great. So unfortunately, that was his entry into the Shyamalan verse. But I don't know, it's just bad. And the next one, oh geez.
I hear you whispering. Planning on stealing something?
No, ma'am, we're not.
Plan on murdering me in my sleep?
What? No.
2008's The Happening, directed and written by M. Night Shyamalan, starring Mark Wahlberg, Zooey Deschanel, and John Leguizamo. This movie had a budget of $48 million and a box office of $163. Swole, tell me about The Happening.
That dialogue is fucking fantastic. Can you believe that this movie still made $163 million? Like, that fucking baffles me.
So, I know why this movie made that much money. And it's going to go with another one that's coming up. The trailer was awesome. Don't get me wrong. It has Mark Wahlberg that says, what happened?
No. What happened?
Yeah. But the trailer of like the way he sets up the movie, it looked awesome. The whole story is fucking stupid.
Well, they made like a whole Entourage like season about how a good trailer can sell a movie, right?
Yeah.
Like, they made a good trailer for Medellin, and then they tried to sell it at Cannes, and it just like it never happened. Yes, Brian, that SNL skit, I love it. Like, say hi to your mother for me.
So, like, Mark Wahlberg admitted that this is a regret working on this movie. He said, "You can't blame me for wanting to play a science teacher. Why the fuck are you playing a science teacher? I'm sorry. To me, it's just, I cannot see Mark Wahlberg as a science teacher in anything. And I'm not saying he's a bad actor. It's definitely not a science teacher.
No, well, and there's some movies of Mark Wahlberg that I really, really like. And then there's this.
Definitely. And this is Shyamalan's first R-rated movie, which he completely, in my opinion, bombed. You know, Wahlberg's line, be scientific, douchebag, was ad-libbed. And I'm like, okay, it was fucking stupid. And this movie is so bad that it's been reevaluated to a B movie. And I'm like, this is something they're trying to do with like Showgirls. No, this movie's just shitty.
No, this movie's just shitty.
It's a horrible story. It's about plants that release toxins to make you want to kill, which I guess plants have evolved to where they release like pheromones to make their taste bad, you know, the taste of them bad. But this is like some Poison Ivy shit. Like Poison Ivy had a better idea in Batman and Robin than than this. I don't know. It's just bad to me.
It's ridiculous.
He's been rehabilitated.
I think he's replying to this. I can't enjoy anything with Mark Wahlberg just because he's an absolute piece of shit human being.
Yes.
Well, that's not true, man. Like he's a rehabilitated Catholic now. He has the prayer app, and you see the Instagram ads for it.
We are just basing this on the performances in the movies, like we say about Tom Cruise, shitty human being, decent actor. Same thing with James Woods.
Oh, absolutely.
But yeah, but this movie's bad anyway, so it doesn't really matter what kind of person he is. He's just.
Do you remember where'd you see this movie at, Yump?
So we rented this movie.
Okay.
And the reason we rented this movie is because the next movie. And the next movie is the reason I rented this movie.
So this movie and the next movie are movies that my cousin Mark came home with, and he used to get the bootleg DVDs, and he came home with them, and he's like, "Oh, I got the new M. Night Shyamalan movie," and I'm like, "Great, let's watch it." And I was excited, and it fucking sucked.
Yeah,
thank God they were bootleg DVDs.
So this movie, like, one reason I saw it when I rented it was because of the next movie that's coming up, and we can just get into that one right now.
He is the victim of a crime.
We have agreed never to go back. Never.
What was the purpose of our leaving? Let us not forget it was out of hope of something good and right.
You should not have made decisions without us. You have gone too far.
I'm guilty, Robert.
2004 is The Village, directed and written by M. Night Shyamalan, starring Bryce Dallas Howard, Joaquin Phoenix, Adrian Brody, William Hurt, Sigourney Weaver, and Brandon Gleeson. This movie had a budget of $60 million and a box office of $256 million. So tell me about your impressions of The Village.
So I enjoyed this movie until the signature M. Night Shyamalan reveal at the end, right? Where, they're not in. Yeah, the first half hour is amazing. It falls apart at epic levels. So yeah, I enjoyed the movie till the reveal at the end. Like, it was going somewhere and I liked it and the buildup was good. And then it was like, oh, they're actually not from like a settlement where they live in olden times. It's just outside the highway in Philadelphia. And it's just a piece of shit, man. It sucks so bad. The ending of this movie pissed me off royally.
So this movie came out when I was a sophomore in college. Like, I came back. You gotta remember, Shyamalan had, like, without spoiling our list, he had Unbreakable, Signs, The Sixth Sense. Those movies all came in a row. When this movie came out, they had, great trailers. This is 2004,
right? This was his fourth movie.
Yes, they had his fifth, but I wouldn't really count his first one as really his movie because it was but this came out and the trailer looked phenomenal. We don't paint the house red. We don't go out there in a certain time. It had Joaquin Phoenix, who was coming into his own. He just did Signs, with him. And I'm like, it's got to be good if he's doing, his story and Signs was awesome. And I was looking forward to this movie like crazy. I actually went to this movie. My dad took on a Saturday when I came up from Champaign, was like, hey, let's go see this. You're like 26. I wish I was 26, Sam. He came, he's like, oh yeah, what movies you guys want to go see? I'm like, let's go see, The Village. It looks good. My mom and me are real big fans of horror movies. My brother's a big fan of horror movies. So we're like, all right, let's go. The first 30 minutes were awesome. The setting up everything. And then when you find out that the fucking monsters aren't real, I was like, okay, where are they going from this? Then the ending was complete bullshit.
So ass. Like the construction crew working on the highway.
It was fucking stupid to me because then me being me was like, well, so how are they getting their supplies? Do they have somebody go outside and be like, oh, hey, we need this food or we need these medical supplies to come this way? Or, and then watching the movie, I'm like, well, they had working lights in there. How they had working lights in the 1800s? Like they had chandeliers with bulbs in them. Like, and I'm like, made no fucking sense. Like to me, it made no sense.
I'm like angry all over again, like just talking about it.
And that's what made me so mad was that the build up, the hype for this movie was great. And somebody was designated for all the runs, Brian. The hype of this movie was so great. And, he was coming off those runs. It has Sigourney Weaver here, Aliens. She said she had nightmares reading the script, probably from how bad this shit was. I don't know how scary it was because it really wasn't scary. Again, you waste Bryce Dallas Howard the first time. And apparently he didn't learn from that because he cast her in Lady in the Water. And that was a shitty movie too. So,
and then she ran in high heels in Jurassic Park.
Yeah. I always make fun of my buddy because he loves Jurassic Park, but that part of the movie, I'm like, dude, there's no way to hell. She's running from a Tyrannosaurus Rex in fucking high heels.
In heels.
She was actually, Bryce Dallas Howard was replaced. She replaced Kristen Dunst, who did Elizabethtown. So I'm glad she did that because this movie was just horrible. I never seen Elizabethtown, but I'm pretty sure.
Elizabethtown's a piece of shit too. That was Cameron Crowe's follow-up to Almost Famous.
Okay, well,
and it was a fucking piece of shit because Almost Famous. Is it what?
Is it worse than this?
No, it's not worse than this.
Then she made a good decision.
But it's like this was M. Night's follow-up to Signs, which is we'll get into it. Mm-hmm. But then Elizabethtown was his follow-up to Almost Famous, which is my favorite Cameron Crowe movie. Right? This fucking movie just fires me up like again.
This was horrible. Ashton Kutcher was supposed to play a role of Noah, which is Adrian Brody's role. That's what I seen. You had what? You have three Oscar winners, an Oscar nominee in this movie. You had Joaquin Phoenix, Adrian Brody, William Hurt, and Sigourney Weaver, and Brendan Gleeson, who just nominated for Oscars and is underrated as an actor. And you came out with this story. Like the ending is so fucking stupid.
It's like you just stopped.
It was
caring.
And
well, maybe it's what though. Like let's let's look at this in a different perspective. Maybe our expectations were just so high after Signs that nothing would have.
Yeah, but
I
even
don't know,
like
man.
the Knock
I'm
at the
trying to
Cabin,
rationalize it, and I'm not.
like Knock on the Cabin and Glass, like we can say those are average movies. If it came out average, that would be fine. Wait, it's just an update. Dougie and Jason are still barking at each other about Modelo and Arangena. Good.
That's okay. Like, I'll take that one. I just can't believe the fucking French silk pie discussion. That's ridiculous, man.
This movie was just bad. Like, it still makes me mad. And I tried to. I was gonna watch it, and I'm like, you know what? Fuck that. I don't want to watch this again because I remember watching it and being like, walking out of the theater, and the first thing my dad tells me is that movie fucking sucked. I'm just like, what am I gonna say to him? Because I'm like, yeah, it was horrible. That's what he told me. He's like, that movie was fucked.
It was so bad though that you remember going to see this with your dad. Like
it was horrible.
It was no, I mean, but it's still cool, right? Like it was so bad. Thing. Yeah, it was so bad, but you remember it. You remember where you were.
Crestwood.
I watched it on a bootleg DVD on 23rd and Oakley.
Yeah, we went to Crestwood to see this, and that's the reason I did not go see The Happening, because I saw this piece of shit. And I'm like, I'm not gonna go be fooled again by The Happening. And thank God I wasn't, because I would actually I didn't even pay for The Happening. I got a bootleg of that one from my buddy. So that free copy, I'm sorry, bootleg.
You overpaid.
Yeah, free copy was overpaying for it. But since we got through the shitty ones, let's go into the good ones.
You're listening to Yumper and Svo at the Show podcast. Be sure to follow the guys on Twitter at Yumper and Svo. Watch live podcasts and subscribe on YouTube at Sadistic Penguin Studios. And check out the website at www.sadisticpenguinstudios.com.
Damn! That shit good!
And to answer your question, there are two reasons why I'm looking at you like this. One, because it seems in a few minutes that you will officially be the only survivor of this train wreck. And two, because you didn't break one bone.
2000 Unbreakable, directed by M. Night Shyamalan, written by him, starring Bruce Willis, Samuel L. Jackson, Robin Wright, and Spencer Treat Clark. This movie had a budget of $75 million and a box office of $248 million. So, tell me about Unbreakable.
So, I really liked Unbreakable. I like Bruce Willis's character in this movie a lot. I thought that he was really, really well written. It was the follow-up to The Sixth Sense, so I think expectations on this were really, really high. And I don't know if it lived up to a lot of people's hope. But I like the yin and the yang that for the Unbreakable character, there's Mr. Glass, where he breaks every bone in his body all the time. I think this is an upper echelon M. Night movie.
Yeah, and this movie was shot in sequence. That's one thing for M. Night Shyamalan. He shoots all his movies in sequence to a degree. I really like this movie because it was something different. I think Samuel L. Jackson played a more serious role in this movie in terms of showing off his acting skills, and Bruce Willis was more of it wasn't like Bruce Willis comedy. It was a Bruce Willis action movie, although it does have action in. It was more of a different story for The Sixth Sense. We got that kind of way he acts in that movie and kind of transitioned to this one. It was just a different type of talent. Like, he's basically a loser, but you find out why he kind of is a loser, why he works where he does. The reason why he survived the what's it called? The crash.
The train wreck?
Yeah. Basically, it's a very good setup, and I actually liked the twist at the end. It was, but the only thing I did not like is that it had text, like he called the authorities. To me, that was stupid. It could have ended with him going to a police station or something like that, but just the fact he called, David called the authorities. I thought that was funny, but besides that, I thought the movie was perfectly done. It was a nice follow up to The Sixth Sense, and I think he pulled it off better. And no, it wasn't better than The Crow.
Nothing is better than The Crow, except for The Karate Kid. That's the only thing.
Yeah, Karate Kid's up there. But this is all comic books. Brian, stop throwing me off. Comic books is the big, outlander in this movie. It's something that he wants to have pushed forward. and you have two comic book style characters, the villain and the hero. It's crazy that Bruce Willis's character is afraid of water, which makes you laugh.
Yeah.
But I really like this movie.
Which is weird because maybe M. Night's afraid of water because that's the whole plot of one of our other good movies.
Yep. But let's move on to our next one.
Your heart is pure. Rejoice. The broken are the more evolved.
2016 Split. This is directed and written by M. Night Shyamalan. This is starring James McAvoy, Anaya Taylor-Joy, and Betty Buckley. This movie had a budget of $9 million, a box office of $278 million. So this movie is actually the third follow-up to Unbreakable.
Yeah.
Which I thought was very good. This character is actually introduced in Unbreakable. James McAvoy character is a guy who has multiple personalities, who's seriously abused by his mom as a child due to his father passing away. And in Unbreakable, when Bruce Willis is out, they tell him to go and see the people, and when he touches somebody, basically he can see everything bad thing they've done. There's actually a woman with a child that he sees, and the woman is yelling at the kid, and the kid's on the other side of the door screaming. So it's kind of, M. Night Shyamalan came out later and said that's actually Kevin, which is who James McAvoy plays. James McAvoy is such a tremendous actor. I cannot stop talking about how great of an actor he is, and he does not disappoint in this movie. And the M. Night Shyamalan universe, he's kind of taken over the Joaquin Phoenix roles, but I think he does it better in terms of his acting. I really, really enjoy this movie. What about you, Swell?
Yeah, I really like this movie too. I saw this movie. Have you ever heard of the New 400 or the 400?
Mm-hmm.
So it's a theater in Edgewater, Rogers Park, right on the Loyola campus.
Mm-hmm.
And it's kind of like this old school theater, and it's creepy. And I went to go see this there with my buddy Kevin, and I walked out, and hear me out, right? Like, I like this movie. I like this movie a lot. Except I hated that they threw in the Unbreakable reference at the end of the movie when I first saw it. When I first saw it, I was pissed. And then I went back. I'm like, okay, wait a minute. That makes sense. Right. But yeah, he's creepy. He kidnaps these girls. They're trying to find these girls. All the different characters or the personalities that he plays, he's really, really good at it. And then the Beast comes out, right? And it's a good movie. It's a good M. Night movie.
Yes, it just has personality changes from what was it, the Dennis, and then when he goes into Patricia.
Patricia was the creepy one.
Yeah, that she was the one that was causing him to do all the bad things. Just though, and then eventually when he becomes the Beast, the way he changes his voice, his facial expressions, the way he acts like an animal, he just does a great role.
Yeah,
portraying everything, and I just can't say. I'm a big fan of psychological movies, like Memento, American Psycho, stuff like that. Like anything that has to do with my Inception. Like I love movies like that.
Yeah,
this is one that like really is a good psychological thriller, and I think it's
Batman Begins.
Yeah, but with the Scarecrow.
Yeah,
I was thinking about that today. Scarecrow. But I think it's like really this movie really got me back into M. Night Shyamalan movies. Like
it wasn't this one for me. It was the next one, I think.
It was very, very well done. And I saw the next one we're going to talk about. I saw this one after this one, but we can bring that one up right now.
Stop rolling all the dice on every roll. You're losing the game for us.
No, I'm not.
We don't have to keep score.
I'm a Yahtzee master. Doesn't everyone in the cafeteria call me the Yahtzee master?
What cafeteria?
You want to win at Yahtzee, listen to me.
You're not a Yahtzee master. That takes 10 years.
2015's The Visit, directed and written by M. Night Shyamalan, starring Olivia DeJonge, Ed Oxenbould, Deanna Dungan, Peter McRobbie, and Catherine Ha. These fucking names are hard for me to read for some reason. This movie had made $98 million on a $5 million budget. Swole, tell me why you like this movie so much.
So I thought, like everybody, after The Happening, after The Village, I thought M. Night Shyamalan was done. I was like, they're never going to give this guy money to make a movie again because his last 2 movies fucking sucked. But I went to go see this movie, and this movie came out in the era where like found footage movies or first person was really, really popular. And I was like, oh, it's going to be another one. But the twist on this one is really good. It's really creepy. Like Kelly's in Europe, and I wanted to rewatch this while she was gone for the pod, and I couldn't do it. Like, because this one was legit scary. Like, I think this one was legit creepy. Like, you got to stay in your room after bedtime. You're not allowed to come out. And when you come out, you see these old people like naked, doing weird shit, like walking around the house. And then the twist at the end was like just really good. Like,
yes, the twist at the end was very, very well done.
I don't want to say, I know this movie's been out for a while, but there's people like Sam and like there's people that haven't seen it. Like, I kind of want them to watch it because it's fucking good.
Yeah. So the rules in here automatically when I first, so after I saw Split, I'm like, okay, so he released this movie. Let me check it out. I rented this movie. And I saw as the poster says, the rules. And I'm like, please don't let this be another fucking Village. Like, and it totally did not.
It was not
disappoint me like The Village did. This movie is really, really well written. The twist is very, very good. This is like classic Shyamalan. This is great twist. The actors who portrayed the grandparents did great jobs.
So creepy.
It's one of the best found footage movies that, the found footage documentary movies that I've ever seen, in my opinion. It's very creepy and a very, very minimum effects. Like it's just the actors' expressions, the way they talk.
The pacing of the movie. Like, there's a scene in the movie where they're FaceTiming their mom to tell them that like grandma and grandpa are acting weird, while grandma and grandpa are out in they're like chopping wood, but they look out on the camera and they're chopping wood. They look back, they FaceTime mom, and they look out, and grandma and grandpa are gone. And like the pacing of the movie and the camera work for a first person movie, found footage, is really, really good.
Definitely. I highly recommend this movie if you haven't seen it.
Can we get Sam Reeves to watch it and then review it on their next episode instead of In Defense Of?
Yes, Sam. How about you do that? You down to do that, Sam?
Sam, are you down to do that for us?
Yeah, watch this one and review it for us, because I definitely recommend you watch this one.
Or Alexis. Let's make we can make Alexis watch a horror movie. One of the two.
We can have both of them come on.
Yeah.
But the crazy thing is that when this movie was released, it was the first movie since The Village not to receive a Razzie Award for M. Night Shyamalan.
There we go. We got commitment from Sam. We need it from
awesome,
Alexis
Sam.
now.
So one of you guys or both of you guys could come on and we'll watch it. I highly recommend it if you haven't. It's such an underrated movie because it's not really talked about a lot when you think of M. Night Shyamalan.
It really is. And like I said, I thought he was dead. I was like, this dude's never making another movie again. And then he did this, and I was like, okay, I'm back on the train.
And like you were saying, with the previous movie with Split, and then even with this movie, this is like his next movie that he came out with. But to go into just his history, after The Last Airbender and After Earth, he didn't really release a movie till this one. So it took him a 2-year gap. And after The Last Airbender, it took him 3 years to do After Earth. But in between that time, he did Devil, which he wrote.
But he didn't direct Devil. He just produced it.
He actually wrote the story for it. And I think that movie is actually decent. It's not horrible. It's not great, but it's better than what the fuck he was writing before. So I think
it was. The elevator thing was like, I don't know. I don't remember Devil that well. I have to go back and revisit it.
Yeah, I think I can see a lot of elements in that movie like transpire into this movie a lot. Just the creepiness of being locked in a house in your room. I think he pulled a lot of those elements from that, which good for him. Like because this is like probably one of his best movies.
I love
which
it.
is the reason it's not our good, but it's up there, like definitely up there. I highly recommend you watch this one. But let's go into his next one.
11 a.m. They're gone. But they're not really gone. We just can't see them. Early this morning, a bird flew into the area where the lights were hovering last night. It stopped dead in the air and fell straight down. I caught it on tape. They've been playing it all morning. The footage looks like the bird flew into a wall in the sky. They found the bird. His head was crushed in. They think they have some kind of invisible shielding going, like an optical illusion. They're still there, hovering.
2002 Signs, directed and written by M. Night Shyamalan, starring Mel Gibson, Joaquin Phoenix, Rory Culkin, Abigail Breslin, and Cherry Jones. This movie had a budget of $72 million and made a whopping $408 million at the box office. Swole, tell me about Signs.
Signs is my favorite M. Night movie. I think this movie is really, really well acted, really, really well written. Everything is tied together really, really nicely. Like, Kieran Culkin has asthma in the movie, right? And the aliens are injecting poison, but his lungs are closed because his asthma. Like, it's all tied in really, really well together. And that twist that comes at the end is really, really good. I love this movie. This is my favorite M. Night movie. Wow, the chat is going off.
Yeah, so this is my second favorite M. Night Shyamalan movie. I really like this movie. I think he perfectly pieces the events that happen in the movie perfectly to the end.
Yeah.
And again, this is since The Sixth Sense. I think he perfectly pieced everything together since that movie, even though it was 3 years prior. I thought the acting was done very well by Joaquin Phoenix, Rory Culkin,
It might have been Rory. I don't know. I just said a Culkin.
No, it's okay. Mel Gibson plays a preacher, and knowing what we know now about Mel Gibson, that makes a lot of sense why he excelled at that role, because he's very religious crazy. Shyamalan calls this his popcorn movie, and I don't think it's that. I think it's very well written to the point where it has those moments where it can make you laugh and scare you as well. Like the part when they're in Brazil and they show the alien, he's like, "Move, children, move."
And then it just but it looks at you and like you laugh, but then you're like, oh shit, that's kind of creepy.
Yeah. And the fact that the aliens are only appearing in the movie for a minute, like up to the end, they only appeared in the movie for 11 seconds.
For 11 seconds. The scene in the kitchen where he goes and he talks to M. Night's character, who, like, spoiler alert, like he killed his wife in a driving accident. He fell asleep behind the wheel, but he goes to visit him at his house and he traps one of the aliens in the closet. And like, Mel Gibson takes the kitchen knife and he looks under to see if he can see anything in there. And he goes back and it sticks its claws out and he fucking chops its fingers off. That's like one of the only times you see anything with the alien. It was awesome.
That scene's, and it's still creepy. Like it's like a jump scare, which was excellently done. Reading, doing notes like I always do, going deep dive into this. This movie was shot with practical effects mostly. He did have a little bit of CGI, like when that shows the alien basically adapting to the checkered sweater and Mel Gibson's face is on his wrist, which is pretty creepy. That was CGI done, but the part in Brazil was shot with the alien walking by. He actually filmed that at a camcorder. All the crop circles were made practically, which is crazy because how much work goes into that. The casting I think was incredibly done well, but they wanted to have reading through this, they wanted to have Johnny Depp cast in this movie, and I love Johnny Depp, but there's no way he could have played this role. This was to me like besides Gladiator, Joaquin Phoenix is another breakout role for him. Yeah. And the crazy thing is he got lucky because Mark Ruffalo, who we all know from Now You See Me and The Hulk, was supposed to star in this movie, but he was actually diagnosed with a brain tumor, which fortunately for him was benign, to give Joaquin Phoenix this role. And talk about right place, right time, because this kind of skyrocketed him up to go up into stardom. But unfortunately, this led to fucking The Village. But I digress.
Yeah, I think like the only thing about this movie that I didn't love is that I never once believed that Joaquin Phoenix was an actual baseball player.
Merrill Hess.
Merrill, he also holds the strikeout record.
Yeah, that part cracks me up though when he goes and flinches at the guy.
He flinches at the guy. The guy's like, But I watched it last night. Like I watched it last night before I had to go to work. Like before I had to go to bed for work. Like it's good.
Yeah, it is very good. If you haven't seen it, I definitely would check this one out. It's worth it because there's comedy in this as well.
There
too.
is,
like,
yeah. When they're running around the house and he's like, I want you to run. And I want you to just scream like insane with anger. And like Joaquin Phoenix is like, I'm going to beat your ass, bitch. And you believe it. And Mel Gibson's like, I'm insane with anger.
Well, not just that part. The part where he's like, this is the police. We are here with a paddy wagon.
Like we already sent your friends down to the station in a paddy wagon.
Yeah, just like parts like that makes it funny. The part where the tin hats when he comes into the house and they're all three wearing it, like little scenes like that. But it's still very creepy. And I think this is like the best he does in terms of playing with your emotions.
Well, it's also the best that he does of like he does it in all of his other movies, but he drops little hints about how the movie's going to end,
Mhm.
and they don't always tie in well together. But this one, they all tie in together. Like, why does she leave half-drank glasses of water? Like, why did he have asthma? All those hints he dropped throughout the movie, like they tied in well together in this one.
Yes. Sam.
You're not allowed to text with Brian anymore during a show.
No, that's pretty what Sam wrote. Did you read this?
No, I have the one that he's weird. Bo's
No.
Afraid. Bo's Afraid is the new one that he's in. I think the dude that did Midsummer and Hereditary did Bo is Afraid. It's supposed to be fucking weird.
But so another thing that was great about this movie is the fact, like you said, science. It's basically could be religious science. It could be just practical science that happened in your life. It all ties together. The water bottle, the water, you touched on that a little bit, which kind of is funny because in Twitter, Turkey Fonseca posted Baloney's water bottles on his nightstand, which I'm a victim of too. Jen yells at me all the time. I have water bottles, like just because I wake up and drink water and go back to sleep. I'm pretty sure Baloney does the same thing, but Jen's always like, "Do you have so many water bottles?" When she posted that for Baloney, it made me laugh because I do the same thing.
Well, did you see what I replied?
Yeah, he's just preparing for signs, which cracked me up even more because she has the water all around the house. And another thing, like you've touched on it before, he's obsessed with water because
he is.
Bruce Willis' character afraid of water, and apparently a water nymph, and then now this. But
so I like Caitlin said at least she leaves half full glasses of water, not half used water bottles. Haven't you guys ever heard of a reusable water bottle? Jesus Christ, guys.
No, it's too. I just have the plastic bottle. But
I live with a hippie, so she's like, no single-use plastics in the house.
Oh my god. But let's go into our last one of the night.
I see dead people.
In your dreams? While you're awake? Dead people like in graves and coffins?
Walking around like regular people. They don't see each other. They only see what they want to see. They don't know they're dead.
1999's The Sixth Sense, directed and written by M. Night Shyamalan, starring Bruce Willis, Haley Joel Osment, Toni Collette, Olivia Williams, and Donnie Wahlberg. At least the Wahlberg picked a good movie. This movie had a budget of $40 million and made a box office of $672 million. Swole, tell me about The Sixth Sense.
I mean, when did you say this came out? Summer of 99?
It came out in 1999. I can get you the month while you talk about it.
Yeah. This came out the same summer that the Blair Witch Project came out. And I remember seeing this and be like, holy shit, like someone wrote a good movie with a good surprise ending. But remember, I was fucking 18 years old at the time and I didn't know, like now, like, yeah, it was kind of obvious that the ending was there the whole time. But this is a good movie. I like this movie. Bruce Willis is great. Like Haley Joel Osment for a kid actor was really good. Toni Collette, you were so sympathetic of her, like, being the mom of this kid that has these issues. They tied it in with the girl who was being poisoned by her own like stepmom or mom. Just a really good movie. And this is what kicked it off, man. Like this, you knew M. Night had talent when this came out, but I liked it. I like this movie a lot. It's elite. It's probably his, I don't know. Would you say it's his best work?
Yeah, I think this is his best work. And for me, this is my favorite M. Night Shyamalan movie. Coming second will be Signs. And then actually, I think Split is probably my third favorite over Unbreakable.
I think mine is Signs, this, and then The Visit.
Yeah. The Visit's up there definitely, though.
Yeah.
It's pushing its way. I have to watch it more to get more into it. But this movie, one of the reasons that I like it so much, the story is great. The twist at the end, this is what made him known for Twist. And where he got this, the idea for this movie, hits home too. growing up in the 90s, I was born in the 80s, but growing up in the 90s, me and my brother were big fans of Are You Afraid of the Dark? And for those who don't know who Are You Afraid of the Dark, it was a show on Nickelodeon that was basically ghost stories it was Goosebumps before Goosebumps. It was ghost stories for teenagers told by kids, the campfire, the Midnight Society, where they were sit around campfire and told stories. And one of the stories in them.
It was on Snick.
Yeah, in Snick.
Saturday Night Nickelodeon.
Yes. One of the stories was called My Dream Girlfriend, which is basically about a brother and a sister who were very close. They worked at a bowling alley. And long story short, it turns out the brother had been passed and never knew he was dead. And that's where M. Night Shyamalan actually got the idea for this movie. But he does it such a better, I know it's a episode, but he does such a better way of expanding the way he sets up the scenes in this movie. You don't know. Now, if you go back and you watch, you can kind of see, yeah, Bruce Willis can be dead because of he meets him outside of his house, but you don't think that when you're watching it for the first time. He puts like little scenes together where you're thinking he's just talking to the mom when he walks in from school and Bruce Willis is sitting in one chair and the mom's sitting across from him. And it's like they were having a conversation just waiting for him to come home. The fact that Bruce Willis walks into the church with no issue and he like is startled at first, but then he just starts talking to him, stuff like that. You think that Bruce Willis is actually alive. The interactions with his wife, even though you could think him and his wife are fighting, or there might be a breakup in the relationship where she's cheating.
He's just gone.
Yeah, you just don't see that he's dead. And the twist at the end when it reveals that he's dead was just awesome. It was probably one of the best reveals, I think, in film history.
You're absolutely right. And then they go through and like they show him talking to his wife and she's leaving and like the desk is blocking the entrance to his office in the basement and the red signifies that there's a dead person around. It's really good. It's really, really well done. And it was really ahead of its time.
Yeah, for sure. Ahead of its time, and I know I talk shit about Mark Wahlberg, but Donnie Wahlberg lost like 43 pounds for his role as Vincent.
He looked like fucking Christian Bale in The Machine.
Yes.
The Machinist in this.
And he played, even though his screen time was limited, he played a very good role. And you kind of felt for the character that was, obviously something going on mentally. Haley Joel Osment, this movie basically put him on superstardom. He kind of fell off. He hasn't really done anything.
Hey, he was in the Entourage movie.
Yeah, but I'm saying like, you know what I mean? Like Secondhand Lions is probably his, I guess, next big movie that he did. That was,
hey, that was a fun movie.
Yeah, it was.
But no, you're right. Like he hasn't done anything. And yeah.
I'm sorry, Brian. I spoiled the movie. It's 24 years old for you.
Yeah.
But Michael Cera actually auditioned for the role of Cole, and he didn't know this was a horror movie because he didn't read the script all the way through. He played the scene that he auditioned for was the magic trick scene, and he played it more cheerfully than he did like as a kid that was kind of like an outsider,
right?
And the crazy thing is, reading this, when M. Night Shyamalan first saw Haley Joel Osment, he's like, this kid can't play Cole because first of all, he's blonde, he's really young, he's like a cherub looking kid, he's too cute looking. Like I don't know if he can play this role. And when he met him, Haley Joel Osment said, I was so nervous for today. I read my part 3 times. And he's like, oh, so you read your part? And he's like, no. He's like, I'm sorry, I read the script 3 times. And he's like, well, this kid's reading the script 3 times before an audition. He must have had some talent. And he basically blew his socks off with his performance. And he's a very, very good actor. And it's crazy that he's so young to portray it so well. And you kind of feel for the character in the movie. It's all around done well. It's very creepy. The scene where the girl comes into his tent is creepy.
Oh, when she pukes.
Yeah, when she pukes. The part where he walks into the kitchen and the lady's there who slit her wrist. The part where
she's yelling. She yells at him.
The part where he's in the kids push him in that little I don't know if it's like a furnace, but they push him in and lock him in there.
The closet at the birthday party.
Yeah, and he's screaming, and then like you said, you feel for the mom as she looks at the scratches on him, and she calls the mom, and she said the mother of the party, and tells him, "Don't ever let your kid fucking touch my kid again." You feel for her,
absolutely. Or like when she's going to get something out of the dryer, and she comes back into the kitchen, and all the cabinets are open. Like just really well done.
Yeah, it's definitely well done. It shows that Cole has a purpose and what he needs to do in terms of guiding people towards their unfinished business. It's just a perfect movie, and I think it's his best movie by far.
Yeah, I would agree.
Sam saving all carbs. But I know this was actually, I thought it was going to be longer than what it is. But to be honest with you, doing research, there's not a lot of trivia for M. Night Shyamalan movies, which is surprising to me. He has the least amount of trivia for any movie and any director I've ever researched, which is crazy.
Yeah, still had good like nuggets of information about the making of the movie and stuff like that.
Yeah, it's just crazy that he, for somebody who's been around for so long. So like I said, he's made $3 billion on $723 million in budget, which makes him a very profitable director. I'm looking forward to seeing what he's doing next.
So give me a second here. How much money has he made?
3.1 billion.
3.1 billion. And how many movies has he made?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 movies. He loves cheese curds. Okay. But definitely, if you haven't seen The Sixth Sense, it's also a movie you can pop on anytime.
I'm not mathing right now.
Yeah, he's made a lot of money.
He's made a lot of money. Yeah.
A $2.4 billion play. He's in the black.
Yeah, and that includes like The Last Airbender and After Earth.
And those movies still made money.
And they still made money. Yeah.
So it's crazy. He gets talked about a lot for his duds, and he has a lot. He has his duds, but he's kind of rebounded pretty well. So he's kind of one of those. He's an interesting, like I said, polarizing director.
Yeah, absolutely. Like even not like and Knock at the Cabin and Old were like they weren't bad. They just weren't they weren't this.
Definitely wasn't this.
Yeah.
And so just to nuggets throw out there, Toni Collette's role was actually offered to Marissa Tomei, and she turned it down.
Oh.
Which I thought she would have did well, but I don't see anybody getting the emotion that Toni Collette gets for this role.
Thanks for mathing, Brian. I appreciate that.
Brian, $188 million per role. You are officially the Yumper and Svo mathematician.
Yep.
So whenever I snap my fingers, you talk.
Which means you just have to do math. You get nothing else but math.
But yeah, so that's our M. Night Shyamalan movies. Let us know if you agree at Yumper and Svo on Twitter, or at Lil Yumper, or at Doughboy Swole. Let us know what you think. Let us know your list. So if you're good, you're bad, you're shitty. This is a new format we tried out. Let us know if you like it, and we'll continue doing it this way for when we do deep dive reviews. But Swole, let's talk about what's coming soon.
Yeah, I'm very excited for this one, actually. We had such success with the first one that we're going to do it again. Do you want to do the reveal? Because this is kind of your baby, Yump.
So, yeah, it's funny because I was watching our guys at the 108 yesterday, and Beefloaf was talking about the Arnold Schwarzenegger, and then he talked shit about Sylvester Stallone and said nobody cares about Sylvester Stallone movies. And I beg to differ, Beefloaf, because I care. And we're going to have a Sylvester Stallone versus Arnold Schwarzenegger movies review in our next episode, the same way we had the Van Damme versus Seagal movies. So we'll pick their 10 best movies and head them up against each other, and at the end, see who comes out on top.
Yep.
We're going to go in complete unbiased. Like, we might argue. We'll see how it goes. But if we tie, if we agree, that's going to be the breaker, the deal breaker, and who's going to come out on top of that. And surprisingly, Seagal came out on top of Van Damme, which I thought Van Damme was going to win.
I couldn't believe it either.
Please spend 80% of the show talking about cliffhanger.
Yump, I am going to have one caveat here for this episode.
Mm-hmm.
If we don't have twins versus Stopper, My Mom Will Shoot, then I'm not doing this episode.
That's a easy win for Schwarzenegger.
Wait a minute. Stopper, My Mom Will Shoot's amazing. It's got Estelle Getty in it.
Oh, I hate that movie. But yeah, we can talk about it. But it's something we're really looking forward to. We're big, Stallone
80s action movies.
Yes, Stallone and Schwarzenegger are the Robert De Niro and Al Pacino of movies at the time.
Yep.
They were the big time. When you saw an action film, it's even said in The Simpsons, you want to see the Stallones, the Schwarzeneggers, and sometimes the Van Dammes. Those are the movies that you want to go see. Like, that was big time growing up. And they're still anonymous with, action. Stallone's still pumping out movies, and so is Schwarzenegger. And they're in their 70s.
Yep.
So it's just crazy they can still pump out content this
Speaking
good.
of pumping out, Al Pacino's having a baby too.
Oh, yeah, I know. Jesus Christ. Him and Robert De Niro.
Yep.
Hey, man. I guess Viagra is selling pretty good. But that's going to be our next episode. So be sure to check it out. We'll be posting. Our schedules are kind of crazy right now. It's mostly me because of school. But once schools open in about 2 more weeks, my graduate school, so we'll start going to a regular schedule.
Dr. Yump.
Yeah, I wish. But one thing we have gotten into, and we explained last time, was that we were having a movie event with Indiana Jones, seeing the new Indiana Jones movie, which is releases June 30th, but we're having our event July 15th. And I am here to say that we are completely booked. So if you have not gotten in, I'm sorry. There are no seats left. We have all that capacity, and we want to thank everybody who RSVP'd, reached out to us. The information for the theater will be going out soon. We're just waiting for them to open up for private theater rental.
Yep.
They haven't done so yet, but I'm
checking right now again.
Yeah, Soul's been on that like a hawk. It's going to be Saturday, July 15th, and we'll probably on the evening time in Oakbrook by Swole. So essentially, everybody, the Sox are not playing that weekend. You guys can come in. Did box? I don't know. I don't have a list. But
Sorry.
Brian, I hate you so much.
Brian, I'm going to see your Sox Brian and just ban him from the show.
But Senior Sox not banned for the show. He just doesn't come in here. I think he thinks he's banned. But with that, like we're really, really, appreciate everybody from just RSVPing. This is our way of saying thank you for you guys who supported us and listens to us and bullshit with us on movies. We do this for fun, so this is our appreciation for you guys doing this. Her soul is happy for free Apple VR goggles. Oh, he is. That's the $3,000.
First of all, it's not a VR headset. It's the Vision Pro, and it's a spatial computer. So shut your face, Alexis.
You know what, Sam? I had an interesting talk with Dougie from the Sports Bums. His wife does not like Jingle All the Way.
Well, Brian doesn't like The Crow, and he's still our friend.
Yeah, no, it's cool. I was just like, how can you I can understand The Crow because the reason Brian gives, but Jingle All the Way, like that movie's hilarious.
It's pretty good.
Yeah, but again, thank you guys for RSVPing and commenting on coming to the event. So we look forward to hanging out with you guys. We got something to give away that day as well.
It's pretty dope too.
Yeah, it's something nice.
You got to be there though to get one.
Yes, it's limited. But with that, guys, let's get into Mr. Swoboda's final thought.
Hey, my final thought is really straightforward. We are part of the Sadistic Penguin Studios, and we have the Hookup on Music. We have Getting Drafty Pod. We have Yumper and Svo. We have Alexis writing articles. We have Roxy writing articles. We're just a group of friends that like hanging out and bullshitting and talking about things. And we thank you for following us and hanging out with us and watching us talk about movies and just being our homies. And we love you guys. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you next week with Arnold versus Sly.
Yeah, guys. Deuces. See you next week, and happy Father's Day to everyone that is a father.
Happy Father's Day to my dad, Brian.
Deuces.
Thank you for listening to Yumper and Svo, a Sadistic Penguin Studios production.
You're still here? It's over. Go home. Go.